William Shakespeare once wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." Shakespeare was onto something there. I mean, if you think about it, we put on many roles throughout the day. I am father, husband, dog owner, sailor, son, grandson, the list goes on, and I flawlessly play those parts every single day. Well, mostly every single day, because I only see my parents every couple months, kind of live in Hawaii. But what if we used these roles and these stories that we've created? Because I admit it, your husband or wife role is different than your son or daughter role that you've played throughout your entire life, and each one has its own unique story and unique experience attached to it. What if we could take that and roll it into education and use the drama in our lives, and we'll define drama here in a moment, to educate our youngsters? There's a study done a couple of years ago that asked the question, how does the use of drama incorporate one's cultural background and experience and aid them as a learning tool in education, especially for those who are not inept in the mother tongue language, and of course in our instance it would be English. So how does this affect ESL students, for instance? Because in order to truly understand something, you have to go back and look at the background of it. But if you can apply that background to your own experiences and present it in such a way that is so memorable, such as what drama does, how better can our students and even ourselves, how better can we learn? The possibilities are endless. And think about this. Think about something you read, maybe a study or even just a regular book, and compare it to a movie of similar subject matter. Which one did you remember? Which one hit home better? Most people would probably say the movie. Why? Because it's one of those, we can see it, we can touch it. Now we can't literally touch it, but we can figuratively touch it. And these situations that you read about are actually acted out right there in front of our face, rather than being visualized. So using drama as a teaching tool, the possibilities are. Well, the same research study, that posed the question about incorporating drama into the school, used middle school 5th and 6th graders, middle class 5th and 6th graders, who were in districts that had a high percentage of ESL students. So we're talking urban schools basically here, and in these growing multicultural cities. I know a school district I used to teach at that was definitely considered multicultural in its approach, and we had flags representing 20 to 25 nations that were represented in that one school. And there were 5 high schools in the school district. So you can imagine, by manipulating learning processes or actually kind of changing them a little bit and teaching methods using drama, for instance, how much more relevant things might become to students who just aren't accustomed to English or American traditions. But if they were able to play upon their own knowledge and use their own narrative story, their own personal story, to relate, how much more would they actually learn? So what these students did was they went through a 2-month study where the researcher collected data in a couple different methods. Number one, they used a static camera in the back of the classroom. It was just for observational purposes. Number two, the students actually kept logbooks of their experiences while they were using drama in their classrooms. 2, the students also kept a personal narrative. Now this would be great because they can sit here and do almost exactly what I'm doing, talk to a camera and act out, or at least verbalize in a different manner what they're learning and how they're experiencing these new methods of teaching that may or may not be helping them, especially the English as a second language students. I mean, how much can that definitely help them with how well they are able to use or practice their English. Obviously I'm having some trouble right now, but yeah, they can practice their English in front of the camera. They can go back and look at that. And they can even critique themselves if they need to. And also the teachers kept a journal. And so by having the video in the classroom, and the teacher's personal journal, as well as the two methods that the students were using, their written journal and of course their video narrative, the research was able to validate many things. If the teacher said a certain student was behaving a certain way, or through the course of the 2-month time period, they changed or didn't change, the researcher could easily go back and review video from that time and validate what the teacher is saying. And the same thing with the student. The student can say, I experienced this, or I'm learning this, and through the teacher's observations and through this data camera in the classroom, the researcher could go through and actually see if she agrees with what the student is saying that he's learning or benefiting from the use of drama in the classroom. One of the benefits of doing things this way is you can put it on the internet. Now, this particular study, I haven't seen any links on YouTube or the internet that actually show the progress in the actual situation. But at the same time, the internet's free to anybody for the most part, and you can put endless videos on YouTube that can help other people, such as this video might be able to do in the near future. So what the researcher did, again to recap, was take 5th and 6th graders in a multicultural urban environment with mostly ESL students, and observe them using their teachers using drama in the classroom. Well, the researcher doesn't define drama as Tom Cruise acting or the thing that you go watch on the screen. She defines drama as a personal set of experiences within a collective set of experiences. It's largely concerned with the examination of human issues and behavior in specific contexts. Puts a new spin on drama. And if you think about the quote that I heard from Shakespeare earlier and think about some of his actual plays, that's what he did. Those are the things that draw us into dramatic experiences. Stories like Romeo and Juliet, for instance, are so widely publicized and so widely used, and people enjoy them. Why? Because we understand love. I can rattle off some of Romeo's death scene at the end, and that doesn't make sense to anybody, but when you watch it in context and you think about your own experiences, you put those two together, it's your own story combined with Romeo's story, and you say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I really felt that type of love for that person before, so much so that I'm willing to kill myself or willing to make some sort of a personal sacrifice in order to be with that person or to not defile their name or whatever the case might be. So some of the implications that we can draw from this study is that the use of drama and personal narrative can help those who do not speak English or the mother language fluently to learn important concepts of reading, writing, math, etc. from the beginning. I mentioned it earlier, how much easier is it if you were able to act out something for somebody or even allow them to just share their personal story so that you can connect the two things that they're learning. I think the research was on something here about us being able to use drama in the classroom in order to teach people important concepts, especially people who have an ESL background where they don't know the native tongue, and that way they can learn how to understand these concepts based on what they're seeing, based on their own acting out of how they understand something, and it wouldn't just help the student, it could definitely help the teacher. So, as we conclude, and we've talked about how drama can be included in the schools, how drama can be included into the classroom, and how it can not only help us as teachers, but definitely can help the students. But when we come back to it, think about the quote from Shakespeare, all the world is a stage. And I'm paraphrasing, but all the world is a stage, and we're merely actors in it. Think about all the roles that you play, all the hats that you put on. You're the role of teacher, you're the role of student, you're the role of father, husband, son, wife, mother, daughter, etc. And we do those flawlessly. Incorporating those types of concepts and that definition of drama into our classroom, could we not help our students learn better, especially those who have a difficulty understanding and grasping the language that we speak?